The narrative they want here does not really exist. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the LGBT club mass shooting in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in which 5 people were killed and up to 25 were injured, 19 of whom were injured by gunfire. And before I continue into this, may all those who died rest in peace, and prayers out to the family. And to those who are still injured, may you get well soon with a full recovery. Now, there's a lot we got to talk about in this particular story. We got to talk about how it was covered. We got to talk about the reporters and their biases toward the whole situation. We got to talk about quite a few things. And before I get into those things, let's roll the clip. This is from CNN. And if you want to see this full clip without my commentary, link will be in the description. But this clip is where they're talking about the actual suspect who is now in custody. I think he was injured. He might have been shot himself, but he's not dead. He's in custody. And we know a lot about him. So let's get into this clip right now.
Attorneys for the accused shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, say in new court filings tonight that the suspect now identifies as non-binary. In a footnote to a motion asserting legal privileges, the public defenders say, quote, Anderson Aldrich is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns, and for the purposes of all formal filings will be addressed as Mix Aldrich. So in other words, not Mr. or Ms. Joining me now, CNN Political.
I just want to, you got to just observe her body language, her facial expression. Look at this right here. Do you see this face right here? Like, this face to me means, really, you want to go with the whole non-binary thing? It's like she's not buying it, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just want you to see that. Then we're going to get to some more after this whole thing.
Joining me now, CNN political commentator Errol Lewis, also back with me, Al Franken and Joe Walsh.
Look at his face. Like, do you see these faces? These faces, to me, do not seem like they are really buying the whole gender non-conforming, non-binary pronoun thing. They're not really buying it. But they buy any other time. Again, I'm going to get ahead of myself.
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's not anything that we had.
Is Tubin still there? I thought he was fired. Anyway, let's keep on going.
Heard from his background. You know, people have been looking into his background. And I don't know if anybody here, are you guys lawyers? I mean, you know, I don't know if, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's what he's now saying.
It sounds like they're trying to prepare a defense against a hate crimes charge. That's the least of his problems, legally speaking. But it looks like they're trying to build some kind of sympathy or at least confusion on the question of whether or not this was purely motivated by hate.
I mean, that is what it sounds like. We'll wait to see. Back to that conversation that I was just having with Juliet. Have you thought about that? I mean, have you had to think about what would I do in an active shooter situation?
Well, we all have to.
Oh, very interesting. So normally, as I was saying, when somebody says that they're LGBT, they're trans, they're not conforming, non-binary, different pronouns, they are the first ones on the left to champion it, say yes, use your pronouns, don't let anybody silence your voice, identify as whatever you want to identify as, be free. Don't be restricted by the far right people and your Christian dad and your church. They would say all those things, but now all of a sudden that there's a mass shooting involved and something negative happened, they don't want to talk about somebody being gender non-conforming. They don't want to talk about the pronouns and whatnot. They're saying it's an excuse because they don't want to face maybe possibly a federal hate crime charge. It's a legal thing. Oh, okay. But then when I say, hey, you know what? You have these adult men engaging in sports with women, then there's motivation there too, right? Now, obviously, it's not something that's violent and crazy like this here with the mass shooting, but there's still a motivation. The motivation is, okay, I'm ranked basically dead last among the men, so if I can cross over to the women and join them and say, you know what, I identify as woman, now I'll have more success. I go from ranked 450th in the world to first in the world, from dead last to first. That's a motivation right there. That's a reason why you would do that. But then when I point that out, I'm being bigoted, I'm being anti-LGBT, I'm being transphobic. But then when they say something like that on CNN, it's not really a big deal. What I saw right there in that clip was true colors coming out. They don't buy into all this gender non-conforming, non-binary stuff. And it seems like they're disappointed that the narrative that they wanted wasn't there, like I said from the beginning. Maybe they wanted a scary right-wing conservative guy, AR-15, listening to Alex Jones, QAnon. Maybe that's what they wanted. But why is it so hard to think that a gay person, a gender non-conforming person, a trans person could do something like this? Why is it so hard to think? Look, just because you're gay or you identify as a different gender does not mean you're a saint. When has anybody ever thought that? You shouldn't think that, because first of all, this is not the first time a nightclub's been shot up by a gay person, okay? Like you had the Pulse nightclub shooting. It was a gay club shot up by a gay person. Almost, what's his name? Omar Martin. This guy shot over 100 people and killed 49 of them. It was a gay club and he was gay. And then, of course, there's a whole Netflix special on gay violence called Dahmer. He was gay, and he not only killed gay men, but cannibalized them. A true monster. Just because you're gay does not mean you're a saint. It does not mean that you are not able to commit violent and evil acts, the same as anybody else. You know, people talk about the LGBT community, and they say, okay, we want to be treated the same as everybody else. We're the same as everybody. We only just have the sexuality difference. Okay, if the only thing different about you is sexuality, then you have a range of things you're able to do. You could be good, you could be bad, you could be honest, you could be a liar, you could be pretty much anything if you're just a regular person like everybody else. So why would it be a stretch to think that you, as a gender non-conforming person, could do something that's evil? The same thing as anybody else. So that right there was crazy. But you know what it tells me? They don't really buy into all that stuff. Okay, they don't really buy into it. It reminds me of the whole thing with Herschel Walker. Now, the left are basically painting Herschel Walker as a moron. Whenever he says anything that it doesn't really sound right, his speech pattern is not really all that good. When they say anything about him, it's about him being a moron. Okay, he'll mispronounce a word. Oh, he said that, it means he's a moron. But if it's not Herschel Walker, and if a black person does not speak, quote unquote, the Queen's English, they don't speak proper English, what do the white liberals call it? They call it AAVE. What does that stand for? African American Variety English. They'll say AAVE is a real thing. We teach it in schools. It should be respected. It's their own dialect, all this, that, and the third. But then when someone speaks it who they don't like, then they're a moron, which lets me know that they think anybody who speaks that way is a moron. But they won't tell you that. They'll just say certain things to virtue signal. They don't really believe in all this stuff to talk about. They don't believe that gender non-conforming is a real thing. They think you are a male or a female. They, right here on this thing, they're talking about him. Pronouns, all wrong, because they don't really believe in it. They only believe in it when it benefits them politically, when they're trying to be able to get brownie points, when they're trying to be able to get power and control and trying to stay in a certain space. But any other time, they don't think like that. They don't act like that. The same ones say they're not racist and they love everybody, live in a 100% white area, they're hypocritical. This really exposed the media for who they are. I mean, they always expose themselves, but it's like a constant thing nowadays. They will always tell you what's going on with themselves if you pay attention. But again, rest in peace to all those who passed away. This is a very tragic situation. I don't know the actual motivation behind it. Shout out to everybody that helped subdue the shooter. Shout out to the man I saw on Fox. I think he owns a brewery. Him and his wife own a brewery. He was is a combat veteran. Got deployed like 4 or 5 times in the Middle East. So shout out to that man for saving many lives. He was there with his daughter, an adult daughter, because I think the adult daughter's friend became a drag queen or something like that. So they were there to support like their daughter's best friend from a young age. I don't think it was a thing where it was little kids watching the drag queen performance. It could have been, but I don't think that's what's going on. But again, just because we say that kids should be protected and they shouldn't be, like, I'm talking about little 5-year-old boys and girls should not be in a club putting money into the garter belt of a drag queen. Just like you shouldn't be at a strip club. You shouldn't be at a strip club at your city in Atlanta eating chicken wings with a stripper right here in your face when you're 5 years old. That's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. Let's have fine lines in the sand that we don't cross, and let's have normal society. And at the same time, we can't say that that plea for normalcy is a call to violence, especially when the facts do not line up with that. When you have an LGBTQ person that committed the violent act, it can't be, oh, well, you hateful straight people are attacking gay people verbally, so therefore another gay person goes out and hurts another gay person. It doesn't make any sense. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with the media and their reaction with the actual shooting itself? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. This is pretty much what the media does. They'll put out stories like this. They'll say certain things and they're not consistent with their logic. They'll say, oh, well, this happened because of this over here. But then when that's proven to not be true, then all of what they built themselves on, gender affirming, using the pronouns, it goes away now. And now they want to be critical. Now they want to criticize, because I think their initial reporting, their initial thought process about some crazy right-wing Trump supporter, AR-15, killing innocent LGBT people because of some drag queen storytime criticism, that narrative is more important to uphold. So they're trying to find something to make the reality not be what it is. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.